Hey listeners, welcome back to another episode of In Our Bodies, a podcast trying to document convos with people of color in a way that celebrates the way we navigate our body minds. I'm your host, Henry. Before we jump into the episode today, as I keep building this podcast, I want to be able to have more avenues to be communicating and getting feedback from you guys. The DMs are always open. The Instagram is at In Our Bodies. Otherwise, if you guys have any other ideas of how we could be chatting more or continuing the conversations we are having on the episodes, please also DM me. The best thing to do when you don't know how to do something is ask or resource your community, right? Anyway, that's all from me. Enjoy this episode with multi-talented cutie Keiko. Hello, welcome back to the In Our Bodies podcast. Today we have with us Keiko. Keiko uses they, them pronouns. They are a self-proclaimed clownish creator. They do art, they are a business owner, they create music, and they also do drag. Woo! Welcome,
Hey.
Keiko.
Hi, thanks for having me on. I'm so excited to be here.
Can you describe a little bit like what your daily routine is kind of usually like, or like what is necessary for your daily routine in general?
Yeah, so most of my day-to-day these days is just like basic survival, like just trying
Mm.
to make sure I'm, taking care of what pain I can manage and what symptoms I can manage, making sure I'm eating, taking whatever meds, vitamins, and whatnot. My partner, thankfully, does like the cooking.
Woo!
So we do make sure that we get our meals in every day. And trying to step up on like self-care that I used to be not so great at. I've been trying to get better at, things like showering, brushing your teeth, washing your face, stuff that's like pretty difficult when you have really limited energy or like depression.
Yeah, I feel that. I think there's points in where I'm like, I know eating is so essential to just, well, it's like literally your energy source, but
It's so
like,
hard.
yeah. Can you, if you don't mind me asking, like, what are the like body mind things that kind of make doing certain daily tasks hard for you?
Getting up in the morning is so difficult. Like, I'm sure a lot of people with various chronic illnesses can relate. Like, waking up, there's like a lot of fatigue. It can be hard to come out of being asleep. If you
Mm,
manage to get to sleep, there's often a lot of like pain to contend with. Just waking up and adjusting to like whatever pain is there, or like nausea for me is usually a really big thing in the morning.
oh,
I usually just have to like lie there and wait it out until I can like sit up and
oh
get on with the
man.
day. Yeah, it used to be really difficult when I was like working a 9 to 5, which I don't
Oof.
do now.
Yay. Good for
um,
you. Do you
but
ever
yeah, so
want,
there's like the waiting out in the morning and then like stretching. There's usually a lot of back pain because I
mm,
have EDS, so
okay.
things will just sort of fall out as I sleep. So there's a lot of stretching to be done in the morning. Usually just getting up and walking around can sometimes help with some things. It might make some things
Mm,
worse.
yeah. What causes nausea for you?
Honestly, it's hard to say. I've got, there's a lot of issues that are still being tracked down by doctors, and also nausea is a symptom of so many things,
Mm-hmm,
and a lot
mm-hmm.
of things that I have suspected going on. Like, it can come from like dysautonomia, or
Okay.
from like mast cell issues and just like allergic reactions to things,
Well,
or from like GI issues like gastroparesis, or things like that. It's
you
pretty much
said,
always there. It's my most annoying symptom, I would say.
oh, that is not is there anything that helps you like quell that symptom a little bit or no?
Uh, I mean, I drink a lot. I drink ginger ale every day. We
Mm,
drink that Canada Dry bold with every meal.
oof. Canada Dry, sponsor them.
I know, right?
Get that Canada Dry money.
And if it's like caused by like POTS or like dysautonomia things, like keeping
Okay.
up that salt intake and hydration. So
Mm,
a lot of
what's
chips, crackers.
what's dysautonomia?
Oh, so it's like dysfunction of the autonomic nervous system. So a lot of like, subconscious regulation of the body, like temperature and like heart rate and breathing and blood pressure and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, there can be like neurological issues for that being wrong, or like,
What
yeah,
is
it's
the
wild.
sorry, I'm just like I'm learning here. What
No,
is
it's all good.
the autonom I'm
Yeah, the
sorry.
autonomic nervous
Okay.
system is like the like subconscious functions that like your body like regulates on its own. There's like the stuff
Interesting.
that, there's stuff that you can do that you can control, like
Uh-huh.
breathing and blinking that you control with your will. There's a word for it that's escaping me. But
Mm.
then the autonomic nervous system is that stuff that your body should regulate on its own. But like,
Oh. Is
because mine
that
is messed up, I get like hot flashes or I get very cold. I'm currently like sweating and shaking. I don't know if you can hear it in
oh,
my voice.
oh,
But yeah, type
sweating
of
and
wacky things.
shaking. God damn you, body.
I will be cold and hot at the same time all the
How does
time.
that, you just ask, you just look around, you're kind of like, how does that even work?
I wish I knew.
um, does that fall under? I'm sorry. I also like. There's just some days that like my brain doesn't like somebody might like tell me their name over and over again, and my brain just won't retain it, or there's words I won't retain. But like
Hmm.
the autonomia system, is that
Yeah,
like your description of some of that sounds similar to a previous guest that talked about POTS? Does POTS like
yeah,
fall under that as well?
yeah. So POTS is like a type of dysautonomia, if I'm correct from my reading
Oh,
and memory. But yeah, because it has to do with like the regulating of like your blood pressure and like, yeah, between standing and sitting.
yeah, standing and sitting in like temperatures as well. So
Hmm.
like showers can be quite
Yeah,
difficult and stuff
yeah,
like that,
yeah.
right?
I use a shower chair and usually
Yeah,
am
get it.
more in the
Anytime I can
warm
be
than the hot
sitting.
shower. Oh, yes. Love Oh my gosh. Life has been great ever since I started sitting in the shower.
Yeah, I could, especially if there's just such an energy change with like temperatures and like standing, sitting, I can
Hmm.
totally see how it can be kind of dicey if like you're just like standing in the shower and you're like, whoa, things
Yeah.
are getting a little woozy, right?
Right? Yeah, getting too hot, like you get dizzy and like you get like blood pooling in the legs and feet and like the blood pressure dropping, and it's, um like my cognitive function declines when I'm standing. I feel like just like the
Interesting.
act of being upright and having like my blood have to work harder to get up and like
Mm,
having to
mm-hmm,
think about
mm-hmm.
keeping my body in line and being upright, like
Totally.
I have trouble just thinking about things when I'm upright. So it's way easier to just like be sitting,
And
just take my time.
you were mentioning that you have EDS, which is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome,
Yes.
right? And I
Yes.
think from just the little bit of knowledge that I know about it, that also just like can really affect your joints and stuff too, right? So like that's
Right.
something that you might have to be when you're more when you're like more standing or doing like things that are with more movement, then you sometimes have to be quite aware of your joints when with having
Yeah.
EDS as well, right? So that can also be quite difficult.
Yeah, you basically have to be very aware of your body positioning like all
I
the
so I've
time.
heard.
To learn how to even be positioned right in the first place. Like I was fortunate enough to like have some PT when I was a bit younger, so some things
Hmm.
I still remember, like where I shouldn't be like overstretching. Like you grow up with your body just being this
Yeah,
way, and then one
yeah.
day a doctor points out that your knee shouldn't go backwards.
Whoa.
Oh. So
You're
you
like,
gotta remember that, like, what
huh.
is straight for most people actually feels slightly bent for you, and there's, like, a lot more different muscles being engaged, holding yourself,
Mm.
like, the proper way.
That's so awesome to hear that you got some physical therapy that has seemed to be like helpful in helping you be like more intuitive with your body though.
Right? Yeah, PT with EDS can be very touchy because you, like, need somebody knowledgeable. Because if
Mhm.
you, just, like, do too much strain on the joints, you can end up causing a lot more damage. Or
Yeah.
if someone is not making sure that you're, using your joints in the right way and, like, staying lined up properly. When I had aquatic PT, that was, like, the most helpful, like, doing it in the water with,
Ooh,
like, resistance.
cool. Yeah, I
It's
feel like with some
nice.
of the medical fields where they this is just my like an initial reaction and kind of like association with physical therapy. I think about like sports people or like kind of seem more feelings of like ableist standards of trying to get you somewhere. I know it's obviously not all like that, but I feel like you can probably encounter people who actually haven't had a lot of experience with people maybe with EDS or like other chronic illness trying to like push you in ways that might not be super helpful, eh?
Yeah, it's really interesting because like the goal with like when non-disabled people and like people go to PT for like an acute injury that they need to recover from or
Yeah.
whatever, something like
Yeah.
that.
Get
So
back
like
to
a lot of people,
normal.
right? A lot of people just have like a set amount of PT that they need to do like a number of weeks or like a point that they need to get to, and then they graduate and they're done.
They
But like,
graduate out of it. Okay.
right?
Yeah.
But yeah, for us, that's not really the deal. It's like a
Yeah.
lifelong making sure you're still trying to keep everything in line and like trying to build muscles around the joints without also causing damage.
Yeah, it's like, and it's an upkeep and it's kind of like meeting you where you are. It's not trying to necessarily achieve, I don't know, previous mobility or previous, there's no, like for a lot of us, there's no previous, right? There's just like what you can do now and what maybe you can be doing in the future. There's no like, I don't know, like a chase towards healing
Yeah,
and
right. It's not like I'm
whatever.
gonna start like running track again or doing musical theater in the
Yeah.
same
If
in the
you
same way
really
that
put your mind to it, okay?
I'll be
Whatever the,
back jumping hurdles in no time. Yeah,
oh
no.
God.
But
Uh,
like yeah, I feel like, and I haven't been in PT in a while, but I just do a lot of thinking about this kind of stuff. You just want to like set your goals or like benchmarks that you want to hit. Like, okay, like I'm just aiming to increase like the amount of activity I can do. Like I want to be able to stand for this long, or I want to be able to like
mhm.
take a couple flights of stairs or whatever. And I feel like that those are the things you need to try and hit rather than like I want to be, back to how I was, because that's not really the deal with it.
That's that's such a fraught journey sometimes to, it's not the easiest journey to be
Yeah,
going on.
certainly.
What is something that you're enjoying in your day to day or yeah.
So lately, I mean, first of all, since I'm just sitting here in the sun, it is finally
Whee!
starting to warm up a little bit over here. We've had a lot of snow and rain, and it
Yeah.
was, it's pretty cold right now, but spring is on the verge. I can feel it. And that
Woo!
always leads to more like creativity and
Mhm.
productivity in my day to day, because the winter with the EDS,
Oh my
nah,
God.
big no. I'll be staying under my heated blanket all day. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Um, so been up and about more. I've been making more stuff for the shop, for the
Yeah.
Sad Clown Club that my
Yeah.
partner and I run.
Woo!
So
You
we've been
will,
feeling more inspired and drumming up a spring theme for that so that we can create more stuff. I'll be making some more jewelry, some more mobility aid accessories, and
yes.
we've been working on customizing some full canes and crutches too, since it had been a little bit warm enough to spray paint.
Yeah, I saw you doing that. Is it like I was is it safe to just spray paint stuff? That's okay. You can just do that?
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's the proper material, you should check whatever paints and primers and things you're using to like make sure it's for that material. But a lot of like spray paint is fine for metal. If
Nice.
Yeah, so you just like sand it down, rough up your surface a little bit, and then
Mhm, mhm.
get going.
Yeah,
Wear your
get
proper protection and
it.
everything. Yeah.
Um, I always, whenever there's that, like, what? Like, I live in Berlin, so it's quite gray, to say the least. So whenever there's like one day of sunshine, and I'm like, oh wow, my mental health was bad, and also, is my mental health cured now? Like that one day of sun, you just kind of bask in it. I'm like, oh, I
Yeah,
guess I'm cured now. Yeah.
literally.
It makes a difference. And it makes me really review my life choices of living in gray, gloomy places
Oh
because
my gosh.
it's not the
Yeah.
tea.
I live in St. Louis, Missouri right now, and
Yeah.
so we get like a lot of gray, kind of icky winters. And I'm originally from Los Angeles,
Oh,
California, so
wow.
like yeah, was not really my scene. I've lived here for like 10 years now and I'm ready to be
Okay.
out for sure. I've had enough.
That's
It's been
such a
cool, but
different scene. So you
yeah.
grew up in LA and then like how did you end up in St. Louis?
Yeah, a little 50-50. So I was like 10 when we moved from LA, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it was just like a choice of it was just like my mom and I.
Mm,
And we have like family out here in the Midwest, like she moved out there and then
okay.
just decided to move us back. I think it was probably pretty expensive.
Yeah. So are you close to family? Like are you physically close to family members now being in St. Louis?
Yeah, yeah. I've got like I've got a decent chunk of family out here.
Nice. And I don't know, is it helpful to have family around being? I don't know what your relationship with them would be like. Or if,
Eh,
yeah.
it's
Got
like
it.
it's like kind of weird because I'm very queer and very trans
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
the attitude varies greatly. I have like a very big family and a ton of cousins. I actually saw a lot of them yesterday because I went to a
Cool.
repast.
Okay.
And it was the first time in quite a long time because of quarantine, and like all my cousins mobbed me. They were like, "I feel like I'm meeting a celebrity."
You went to a
So
repast? Is that what you said?
yeah.
What is a repast?
Oh, it's just like the like post funeral gathering of like
Ah,
everybody and eating food and
okay.
watching the slideshow and stuff,
Okay.
chilling.
Nice.
Um,
My condolences. Just saying.
all good. But yeah, so like my my cool cousins are like cool, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kind of distant. I'm not incredibly social as a person. I have like
Fair.
a pretty tight like friend circle, and I just ah,
Do your thing.
right. One of my cousins who lives in California is chronically ill, and we haven't talked about it much yet, but maybe we will.
Yeah, do it. Get that connection in. I feel like I think the more I kind of delve into and really kind of start accepting myself in my body and in my mind and in my non-binariness and in my queerness, it really starts like not in a bad way, but there's a lot of people that I don't want to hang out with. Is that bad to say? I don't know. There's just a lot of people. It's like very apparent. It's kind of like I'm beyond people just tolerating
Hmm.
me being non-binary or being queer or all of this stuff. It's kind of like, I feel like I've like come out to like some of my family and they're like, cool. And then just like have never mentioned it again, which is like, I guess fine. But like, I don't know if it were the other way around and a family member told me something like pretty big about them, I would try to be excited and celebratory and interested. But
Yeah, like I haven't really personally come out to most people. Like I pretty much just
mm,
told my mom because I was like pretty deep on hormones and
mm.
about to go study abroad in Japan, and I was like, I'm gonna look really different the next time you see me, so you ought to know.
Yeah, fair.
Um, and basically, I just gave her free reign to like tell whoever she wanted in the
Okay.
family. So
Okay.
some people know, some people don't. If my cousins like pass the vibe check, I will follow them from my like main public Instagram
Ooh,
where I'm
ooh,
like
ooh, ooh, the vibe
out and
check.
real, and then they will know.
Yeah. Well, going back to you were talking about the fact that you run a little business with your
Yeah.
partner and you make accessories and you make super cool like mobility aid accessories, but also now you're like kind of redesigning just full mobility aids as well, right? Like canes and stuff, like what you said with
Hmm.
spray paint, which is super cool. And it's called the Sad Clown Club. And as I said
Yes.
before, you kind of have been self-proclaimed as like a clownish creator. Can you tell me like what draws you to So the identity of a clown, like how
Mhm.
does that give you power? How do you feel good in that kind of title?
Yeah, so I honestly, it's hard to say even whether I first started embracing the clownery in drag or out of drag, because I did
Mm.
kind of start taking on like a drag clown identity on that side, which I figure we'll get to talking about.
Sure, sure,
Um,
sure.
but all in all, just like I liked to put like the bold makeup shapes on my
Mm,
face. Like when I started doing makeup, I never really got great at like your regular winged eyeliner and contour. I
mm,
just like to draw on a big mouth and paint my nose a color and put some
mm.
triangles on, and then I'm
Fair.
armored up to face the world. A lot of times when I didn't feel like going out, maybe I was supposed to go to a drag show that night and go support some friends, and I didn't really feel like it. I would, just slap on a few shapes and a big smile, and then I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
But also, I'm a big fan of like bold colors and patterns and like boldly clashing and just
Mm,
being like loud about it. A lot of it
mm.
comes down to like I like the concept of radical visibility that you would like maybe hear about from like Rebirth Garments and Sky.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that whole thing, and I love that whole aesthetic there. Um
Yeah.
but yeah,
Just
just like being like loud and bright, and also having like the costume element to it all, because I do sort of prefer to have like a, a bit of a facade when I'm out in public.
I get it. I think the days I take a like a thoughty selfie or whatever is the days that I'm like I'm feeling not that great about myself and I don't always have to look this way and that's okay. You know what I mean? Like and just to I think the power of changing your appearance whether it's kind of in clothing or in hair or in your like in your face or whatever is like just really helpful sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like very empowering. Like I call myself an artist because I do all kinds of things, but I feel
Hmm.
like my biggest and like most frequent canvas is
Ooh,
myself,
yes,
me.
yes, love it. Fuck yeah, say that out loud. Of course it is. That's
Yeah, like,
awesome.
started off like dyeing my hair in high school, and then
Yeah,
up to, doing drag makeup and painting on a whole new face.
yes.
And then, I starting to like experiment with fashion and like
Yes.
upcycling and customizing my own clothes and things like that, and experimenting with better combinations. I really just used to be like a t-shirt and skinny jeans dude, like all
Mm,
through high school. It was
love
like a
it.
long time before I really started. I would like experiment with my colors. I mean, I was pretty emo, really. Just there for a while was really all it was.
So
And then I
do
would flip
you
flop between the emo and the like pastel fairy K.
I love it. I love it. So do you feel like you've found more kind of your what you're looking for in fashion after I don't know if it's after high school or after like coming into your queerness or like do those kind of like come hand in hand or would you associate it that way or not at all?
Well, I feel like, I mean, I started coming into my queerness like like late middle school, early high school. Like I had some
Nice.
older friends who like introduced me to like bisexuality and Tumblr.
Ooh,
You know the deal.
love.
Um so like by the time I was like a freshman in high school, had I like I realized I was non-binary like around that time.
That's
So,
awesome.
and I went to like a like private high school that was there was like a good amount of queer kids there, and we had like a decent amount
Nice.
of arts and theater, so I was like pretty well
Yeah.
surrounding myself
Good
with
for
other
you.
queer kids at that point, even though I
Yay.
still had a lot of contact
Hmm.
with straight kids and
Yeah.
such. um but
Yeah.
my fashion sense at that time, it wasn't what it is now, and I didn't
Hmm.
use fashion like I do now. It was very much, I was still very much trying to perform like whatever I thought androgyny was supposed to be at that time.
Mm,
Just
mm,
like
mm, mm, mm.
my skinny jeans, my t-shirt.
Yeah,
My
totally.
Chemical Romance t-shirt,
Hey.
my black jeans, or my brightly colored jeans, one or the other.
Ultimate androgyny.
I've reached the peak androgyny, and I would like straighten my hair.
Love it.
Yeah, all that. Yeah, skinny
Yeah.
jeans are my friends with knee braces, though. That is where they're still my friends to
Mm,
this day because I don't really know what else goes under knee braces, and that is something that I would like to
cute.
change in fashion.
So I think I might have seen you in some photos. Your knee braces go over your jeans, right?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
usually how I do it. I don't like them against my skin, so
Mm, fair.
over the pants is the way to go, or
Mm,
if I have like a little sleeve or some leggings underneath them. But I
nice.
generally don't want to layer too many things and get too sweaty.
By the way, I have to say that your fashions are so good. Just so good. You guys, if you're listening, all the links are going to be in the show notes. You need to check out Keiko's like outfits, whether in drag, out of drag, whatevs. They're so good. Who's inspiring you in fashion? Like what are you picking from like while you're doing your upcycling and stuff like?
Oh my gosh. Like, I feel like I'm trying to find new fashion inspiration like every day nowadays
Mm,
because
mm,
only recently really did I feel like I really started branching out in fashion again. For a while there, like my origins are really in J fashion, truly. Like I had a friend who was like
mm.
into it in high school, so I started getting into it.
So like Japanese
Mhm.
like stuff? Well, that's not a bad place to be. There's like amazing stuff in Japanese fashion.
Absolutely. Yeah, like Fairy K and like Decora
Oh, okay.
definitely especially provide like the roots for like my clown style now, like the colors,
Okay.
the pastel colors of Fairy K, or like the bright colors and like the over the top accessorization of Decora,
Oh,
like all the hair clips and bracelets
cool.
and
I
the
feel like
like
that could like
candy.
be perceived as clownish. Like it's not so far away from like clownery or like
Right.
you right?
Yeah, like yeah, I wouldn't say that I ever got quote unquote like good at those styles. Like I didn't really build up a deep wardrobe for either one because like just the time it took me to do that, my fashion sense was like evolving.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, like I've always felt a little bit self-conscious wearing J fashion here. Like when I was studying abroad in Japan, oh, I was having the time of my life wearing all of my
Yes.
expensive brand pieces out in Harajuku
Yes.
and stuff, but
Ah, that's so cool. Good for you.
it was great. I
Yeah.
miss it dearly,
Yeah.
but
But
yeah.
here it's not the same, eh?
So my fashion inspirations, like, there were quite a few people that I followed back when I first got on Instagram that were like in the J fashion community, like
Mm.
Tabby and Prince. If you're in the J fashion communities,
Oh.
you'll probably know those names, but like
Oh,
Maho Prince and
okay.
Dreamy Tabby.
Cool.
Um, but yeah, now that I'm like branching out, I just everywhere. Like I try and pull from like for my drag stuff, like Prince
Mm.
the artist,
I could
not
see
Prince
that.
the J fashion icon.
I could see that. I could see that a lot, actually.
Yeah, I do like I've done a few Prince numbers, and a lot of people tell me I should just be like a Prince impersonator
I feel
full
like I was just
time.
gonna say, I feel like you kind of look like Prince.
I get it a lot.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and my Prince numbers are always a hit. It's very fun. I can't
Yeah.
I can't do all that dancing,
Hey,
or
it's a
hit the notes
sexual
no
vibe,
more. But
okay? No worries. No worries.
right, yeah, as long as I can spin around for the folks.
Just kind of expanding a little bit more on fashion. And this is just kind of like a personal question because I feel like I've always really loved fashion, but as I've gotten, I don't know, I feel like it's like part pandemic and having been inside so much, but also I came out as non-binary in the last 2 years as well, and I've just kind of like felt very lost in how to be physically presenting myself because like I feel like I might have like some I don't know. I'm kind of anxious about presenting femme because I always get misgendered anyways. Like I started a new job and I just didn't tell anybody there that I was non-binary because I'm like it's a huge staff of like 20 people. I'm like, and it's
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of like straight cis men. I'm like, I don't have the time for this. Like I'm there like 3 days a week. Like let's not. I don't. I already told them my name was Henry, and like I was met with like 10 million times like, but that's a boy's name. But that's a boy's name. I'm like, oh my god, like we can't even like get past this. Come on.
Yeah, my partner's name is Julian, and everybody's like, Julia? Did you say Julia?
Oh god,
No.
no. Fuck. It's just a name. But like, yeah, I don't know. And like I think that I have internalized just certain I don't even know the word is, but like I have like internalized
Mhm.
like weird hatred towards myself of like presenting mass because I'm such a small person. So I don't like I feel
Mhm.
like I have like very dated kind of ideas of masculinity, and I'm like scared to like dress femme and have like a bunch of turmoil kind of like in that way in terms of I feel like the moment I was like, okay, I'm non-binary, a lot of stuff was I was able to let go of, and I was like, ah, okay. But then also like a lot of other questions kind of came up, right? So I
Mhm.
was wondering if like I don't know what I'm trying to ask, but it's kind of like, do you ever have fears about kind of that? Because obviously we step outside into the world and like you know people are still people, and some people understand and a lot of them don't, and like it's not the
Right.
easiest.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like I said before, I really tried to like ascribe or subscribe um to like the typical like cookie cutter androgyny or what I thought it was supposed
Mm,
to be when I was
mm-hmm,
younger. Like I just tried to keep my hair short and straight, keep my beanie on,
mm.
like just kind of I really kept like the rectangular shape, which of course, didn't do much for me
Oh,
as like
I
a
love a
5'2" little
rectangular
scrawny
shape.
teenager. It's not like I ever like quote unquote passed.
Mm,
Um but like as my understanding of gender and my understanding of my own gender has evolved like over the years, it's been a long time just like living in this body and going about
mm,
the world in my like various environments. I I kind of don't care what like the general public thinks. I mean, I take great pleasure in like confusing folks,
mm.
but generally if somebody calls me ma'am or whatever in public, I'm usually just like, that's interesting that you would choose to do that.
That's
Um,
an interesting choice.
but like I've come to a place of security in it. Like I've been on testosterone like on and off. Like
Mm,
total, I've done like 2 years of HRT, but there was like a year or two in between where I was off of it. So
mm,
like I've had a great hand in like molding myself to fit
mm.
my gender, which
Nice.
is like such an abstract thing. Like I don't know, thinking about like masculinity and femininity, I guess I have like some sprinkles of some in there,
Yeah,
but mostly, it's a very neurodivergent understanding of my gender, I think.
yeah, I get
Um,
it.
but I am starting to play with like more like feminine type stuff
Yeah.
now, and like my hair is longer now. I kept my hair
Mm.
short for a long time, and I'm probably about to cut it short again because it's hard to take care of. But
Ah,
it's been a fun adventure. But yeah, it's led to me getting like read as like a woman or whatever in public
mm,
more often, I feel like, and also with the masks, like
mm-hmm,
covering up what I feel like is probably the more masculine aspects of my face and like my
mm-hmm,
facial hair and my jawline.
mm-hmm.
So it's been interesting, but I also haven't really been going out.
Yeah. Do you feel that, because you were saying before that you have quite a solid base of people and you kind of keep to like your like kind of more of an insular group. Do you think that kind of having like a supportive group, or you've mentioned you have a partner as well, helps with like the misgendering? Because I feel like it does a little
Yeah.
bit for me because I don't know if I'm still a little touch and go sometimes, but I don't think that like a year ago I'd be able to walk into a workplace full of like cis straight men, and just I don't obviously love it that I get gendered that way, but I'm also just kind of like, my friends know for the most part, and my friends are learning. My
Hmm.
partner like fully accepts me for who I am. Like I don't like that's fine. Like it doesn't like hit as hard, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like having, yeah, it's definitely having like this support system, and like I'm well established, like I have all these
Yeah.
people that know me
Yeah.
for who I am, and they know my name and they know my pronouns and they've always called me that. So like yeah, it really
Mhm.
doesn't, that's why like when I go out and get misgendered, it just feels like weirdly foreign. Cuz it's like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, I've just been acknowledged for who I am by like all
Yeah.
these people that I surround myself with for a long time now.
Mhm.
And then like even some of my doctors have like my chosen name written down.
Yay.
So
I love it.
yeah, that, but yeah, having that support system is definitely like key. And you mentioned the workplace, like I've worked in pretty like accepting places. My last couple jobs, like I worked at a
Mhm.
Joanne Fabrics, so it's just like
Woo!
me and a bunch of other like gays and a couple old
Doing all your
ladies.
drag and just like
There
getting
was
all the
like,
fabric for the drag.
yeah, absolutely, like all the drag performers would come into the one
Yes,
Joanne and like recognize
yes,
me behind
I
the counter. Yeah, certainly. And then like yeah, I worked at another like weird place that was just full of a bunch of other like LGBT and queer like 20 somethings. So
love.
I've
Yeah,
had like a few pretty accepting workplaces.
good.
It's just like the customer base that will like
Well,
misgender or whatever. And it's like, yeah,
oof.
whatever, I don't really expect basic respect from you anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I'm literally gonna interact with you for 5 minutes. Like, here's your stuff. I don't give a shit. Like, I don't. Some. I think after a while, I've just decided that, especially oftentimes being, I don't know, in my perception, and obviously this might not be true, but the only like chronically ill person in the room, or like sometimes the only like person of color in the room, like I try my best, but like I've just decided that I don't have to be advocating for everybody in at every minute, because I'm fucking exhausted, and
Hmm.
that's fine, because I don't know. I don't know why I've decided to give myself that pass, but I have, because I'm just like it's
Yeah,
just
no.
too hard.
There, yeah, I feel like there is like this weird burden, there's like this weird pressure to like be an activist if you are like especially multiply marginalized, like
Yeah.
I'm black and queer and trans and like disabled, chronically ill, like shoot,
Right?
like I but I am not, sometimes I feel weird about not being like an activist on Instagram, but
Mhm.
like I also feel like the work I do, I'm doing the best I can with my energy. Like at this point, I have
You're
the energy
doing
to like dress
so
myself up
much,
and like
my friend.
display my black, queer, trans, disabled body in like fashion, and just like
Fuck yeah.
exist as an act of resistance and
Fuck
exist
yeah.
like loudly and visibly.
Yeah! But also, that is a great way to segue into Keiko, tell me why. Why do we need to have fabulous adornments for mobility aids? Please tell the people.
Yes. This is like my favorite thing, decorating mobility aids.
Yes.
Like it has made all of the difference in like my journey with like accepting my chronic illness and like disability, and like using mobility aids which are like helpful, which
Mhm.
in the long term like benefits you health wise. It's great.
Mhm.
And also having like a disabled partner and like helping them like go through the same journey,
Mhm.
and like starting to use mobility aids. Like I had put down my cane for like a while there,
Mhm.
and when my partner like started needing to use one, I was like, yeah, let me like whip mine out again and we can
Woo!
like do this shit together.
Yes.
um but yeah, I felt the weirdest about using my cane because I was like cool with the concept because I had been really into like the cripple punk movement on Tumblr. I had already
Cool.
spent a lot of time like reading
Yes.
up and talking to these other people and feeling cool about like using my mobility aid.
Mhm.
But my cane was like silver with like some little blue flowers on it. Just like not really
Oh,
my
okay.
aesthetic. So I
Yeah.
still wasn't really into using it. And
Right.
like I was still in high school, so I was like, "Mom, can I spray paint it black?" And she was like, "No."
She's like, "This costs money. Do not fuck with it."
Right? And then, like, I was with my partner and, like, they were using one again, and I was like, "I'm an adult now." So I spray painted it black. And
Yes.
then it was cool. It's got a glow-in-the-dark tip and a glow-in-the-dark squishy handle, so it's, like, fantastic.
Hello.
And then I put a keychain on it, and I was like, "This is great." And, like,
Mm.
the more you it is, like, I'm all into fashion. I'm
Mm-hmm.
all into being my own canvas. My mobility aid is an extension of me, so it's a
Mm-hmm.
part of that body canvas.
Yes.
And it's also an accessory at the same time. So, like, I need to have the ones that match my different styles, the
Yes.
different
Of course
events.
you do. Of
And,
course you
like,
do.
it, it sometimes becomes less like, what happened to you? Why are you using a cane? And, like, where did you get that cool cane? Or,
Mm.
like, did you do that? Like, that's sick.
Yes.
Every time I see someone using a cane in public, I want to just, like, tell them, like, did you know you
You
can put some
need,
beads on it?
you literally need to have, do you have business cards? And do
Yeah,
you
in
have
my
them at
fanny
the,
pack.
yeah, just like passing one out, just like slip one. It's
I
like,
know.
here. I got you covered. I have the hookup.
And check it out. What is
Yeah.
the sad clown club? What is this? Is this a cult? What are
Yeah.
you doing?
They definitely think you're recruiting them into a cult.
Come be a clown.
Yeah, it's a my first kind of interaction or understanding about kind of adorning mobility aids was like a couple years ago when my friend bought their first like pink sparkly cane. And yeah, it opened me up to kind of the questions people were asking is like, why do mobility aids and other things that aid your health always have to look so clunky and gray? And why does it have to feel so, I don't know, it feels so somber, right?
Right? Very sterile, very much like I've brought the hospital to me.
Yeah,
Great.
totally. And that's not the
Yeah.
vibe, especially for people who, I don't know, are a piece of art, okay? And people want to be like, not just like so closely tied to just like such a shitty idea or definition of what like being sick can be or needing mobility aids can be, right? Like,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
so everybody make your things sparkly, and there's no shame in needing mobility aids. And if you see somebody walk and also use mobility aids, they're not faking it. Go fuck yourself. Like, just all of those things, please.
Yes. Yeah, I like for the mobility aid to be able to send a message. I got some stickers from Hate Kill, and they say talk shit get hit and questions $5, and they're like
Yeah,
perfectly cane sized, and those were like a big inspiration.
nice.
I have a talk shit get hit like stack of little beads that you can wrap around your cane, and that's like the most popular thing. So
Love it.
mobility aids that tell other people to fuck off are
Yes,
fantastic, so that I don't have to do it so much myself.
yes, that does the job for you while being very fashionable.
Multifunctional.
Yes.
All this, and I'm not falling over.
All this and stability. Wow. What more can you ask for? Now we're just gonna sneak business cards to everybody. Lastly, I also wanted to ask about because I was saying to you before, a lot of the people that I had spoken to before come from, I don't know, maybe just cities that I'm more familiar with. That just like that's I guess kind of how starting the podcast works. Like I just like kind of started asking my friends. I was like, "Oh, right, you're chronically ill. We've talked about this. Like, do you wanna talk about it like on the podcast?" But I don't really know that much about St. Louis or really that much about Missouri at all. What's the queer scene like, or what's the disability community like?
Ugh. Well, it's in the Midwest United States, so it's not like the coolest.
But you're
Um,
there, so it must be pretty cool. Come on, let's be
right? I
real.
think I think most of the folks like me try and go somewhere else when they can.
Mm-hmm. But
There's
that's
a few. I'm,
fun.
I'm not gonna knock. St. Louis has a few cool creatives, but
Mm,
like I said, I'm from Los Angeles. Like, I'm
mm-hmm.
used to things being a little bit bigger. The scene's a little small here for me.
Mm-hmm.
That being
Mm-hmm.
said, that makes it pretty tight knit.
Yeah.
Like a common question, like when you meet somebody in St. Louis, they ask, where did you go to high school? Because like chances are like you'll
Yeah.
probably know somebody who knows somebody who knows them, or you run into somebody from your high school at the grocery store. So
Yeah.
that, yeah, so maybe that helps give you like an idea of the size. So like it's,
Mm-mm.
it's sort of like it's a kind of a big city, but it's not a big city, It's kind of big for its area. We've got the Arch, it's like the gateway to the West. We're like right on the Mississippi River.
Okay.
But like we're also only a couple hours from Chicago, which is
Okay.
like,
Cool.
yeah, the bigger
Nice.
boy of the
Nice.
Midwest.
Okay.
But we've got a cool drag scene. I will give it that. Like we've got a lot of pretty exciting performers around
Yeah.
and a lot of drag kings. We've got like
Yes, get
a big
it.
name drag king named Ryder here, and I think it just leads to us being sort of a drag king breeding ground. Like the little emo boys are popping up
Yes.
all over the place nonstop.
Yes. Love it.
Yeah, but
I
there's
don't
also a lot of
even.
cool like alt performers and like burlesque scene and crossover between the
Mm,
two.
nice. Yeah, I feel like with the kind of mainstream media coverage, we don't know that much about drag kings as much as we do about like drag queens, right? Like,
Hmm.
but do you feel like there's a lot of crossover between the queer and disability scene? Because if I'm being real, like living in Berlin, the queers don't, and this is not yeah, the queers don't give a shit about disability stuff that much, if we're being real, which just
Hmm.
is not how if I ever get to actually run some like programming here, is not how I would try to do it. But like it's just that's why sometimes it's just so disheartening, right? Like as you were saying, like when you start like finding your truth in all these intersections, there's like a lot less people you kind of want to hang out with, and that like also includes like queers, specifically like sometimes like white queers, right? Like it's like
Yeah.
meh. Yeah, but is there that kind of intersection for you in St. Louis at all?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say that I'm really plugged into much of a disability scene around here. Like I'm in a
Okay,
couple of Facebook groups for like my specific,
for
like for
EDS.
EDS and
Mm,
its associated friends.
yeah.
But like a lot of the folks in the Facebook groups are just like older white women. Like I don't know, that might be the demographic that gets like the most diagnosed. I'm not really sure because a
Oh,
lot of times it takes a long time to
yeah.
get
I've
diagnosed
heard.
with
I've heard. Yeah,
EDS.
yeah. I've heard.
So a lot of them are just like 50-year-old like Sharon, I just got diagnosed. What do I
Shit.
do?
Oh,
And I'm like, oh, I don't
Sharon.
know. I
Yeah.
joined the group when I was like 19. So and then there's a queer disability group for the city too, but
Okay.
it's not massive. I haven't met like a lot of other disabled folks in the scene, and like a lot of the drag venues are not incredibly accessible.
Accessible. Okay.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
oh my gosh, not at all. There's like stairs in basically all of them. One of them has
Yeah.
like stairs up to the dressing room, so you like have to. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of us stay at home.
Yeah. That's like something that. So a while ago, when I was living in London, and like my friends and I were becoming more aware of like disability discourse, as we realized that spaces were very inaccessible, some of my friends stopped going to certain things like as a stand. They're like, if it's not accessible, then I'm not gonna go. And like I don't think that I've done that, and I don't know. I don't feel great that I haven't done that, but I also like I don't know. I'm just like sharing that. But like as somebody
Hmm.
that also sounds like you're in spaces that clearly are not super accessible as well, like I don't know, sometimes like what is your feeling about that? And sometimes it must be, especially as somebody who needs certain, or like it can be hard for you to do lots of standing or lots of moving, like how do you feel about that? Like cuz it's hard, right? Like these are the spaces that embrace you, and this is the space where you get to do drag, which is like something you love a lot. But like, what does it feel like when it doesn't kind of include like other intersections or other parts of like who you are?
Yeah, I mean, it's rough, like the buildings, for some of them, like, the buildings have been there for a while or whatever, and like it would
Mm-hmm.
take for the one I mentioned, like, I for most of them really it would take, like a certain renovation probably to circumvent like the stairs. A lot of them
Yeah.
are very old, like it's not like we have a very polished, like rich queer scene going on. Like a lot of the buildings are just like kind of leaky, just holding up, and we're all just like,
Yeah. Just
doing our
finding
best in
place.
our
Yeah.
little
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right. So yeah, it is really tough, and I'm fortunate to be able to like take those stairs at all some days, but it also means that I usually have to like pull back on how much I can perform. Like maybe they want me to do two numbers for a show, but I have to
Mm-hmm.
only do one because I
Mm-hmm.
can't go up and down the stairs and change that many times.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's my like reasonable accommodation. So like it is tough, but it also is like a small scene here, and like a lot of our bars have even closed like in recent times. Like one of our
Mm-hmm.
biggest like clubs attitudes like closed down during the pandemic, and so like the
Yeah.
spaces are just like dwindling. So I would like to see like a good new space open up. Maybe like a good accessible space would be cool, or like
Yeah.
as the opportunity arises for like spaces to improve or open up, like being considered there would feel great.
Yeah.
But I know that like, yeah, accessibility really is often like thrown under the bus.
I feel like every time somebody creates an event, I just try to be like, so well, like, can we at least like provide information so people can know if they can get there, or they don't waste their time showing up and then realizing they can't get inside, or like, have you got like, I feel like things
Hmm.
kind of like keep moving, and I just don't see a lot of people stopping to be like, hey, so like, can we make this, like, that's all I'm asking, like, at least
Yeah.
stop and think, or take some time to learn about, not you, I'm just saying like people in general, if you're an organizer and you're listening, like,
Right.
you know
Consider it.
yeah,
Consider it.
consider
'Cause,
it.
yeah, there's like so many like axes. Like a lot of the like I would say the majority maybe of the venues are at least like you can probably get in the front door. Like there's not a step into the front door, but it becomes
Mm-hmm.
more inaccessible if you're performing there. But like, the bathrooms probably aren't
Yeah.
great. I don't have like a custom wheelchair, so I don't really use a wheelchair out in public. So I can't really
Okay.
speak so much to the wheelchair accessibility.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I can say that I really have not seen anyone in a wheelchair in most of those clubs ever. Maybe
Yeah.
like one person one time.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, one of my other queer disabled friends, um, and I don't know how she got it on the stage.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah.
but like, yeah, like often, even if there's a little bit of consideration, like they will say, like, there's stairs to get up there, but we will let us know and we'll help you. But like, I don't want to be carried up. I want to
Yeah.
be able to just get up there
That's
myself.
not.
And like, maybe
Yeah.
you notified me about the stairs, but there's still like a lot of flashing lights going on or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's way more to consider.
Yeah.
And we have to point out like every little aspect every time to get
Right.
it into their heads.
And I know that like people aren't gonna get it right all the time, and there is no getting
Hmm.
it right, because like disability, chronic illness, whatever you want to call it, like it's just an umbrella term for a lot of people that have a lot of different needs, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
But it just wouldn't hurt to assume, or just ask.
Right?
Asking is always nice.
Asking is great.
Yeah.
If I got asked, yeah, it always feels nice, like to know that somebody is thinking about you and considering, even if it turns out that like it's out of their control or they can't like
Mm-hmm.
fully do anything. Like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
being considered is great because oftentimes we really just aren't even considered.
Right. I agree. The last question. As the spring months come, like, what are you looking forward to? Whether it's just kind of like little things in your life, or in like things that you're kind of developing in your drag, or yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of good things on the horizon and that I'm going in a really great direction with
Woo.
my art right now. Like I've really gotten a lot of time to like focus in on what I'm doing and like where I feel like I can make the biggest difference and like what kind of art I feel like like helps people out. Like working with the Sad Clown Club has been like fantastic, and I feel
Yeah.
like right now I'm just very focused on like expanding that, and my partner and I like working with that, and also continuing to do our like photo and video work that we do,
Okay.
because my partner Julian also shoots most of my photos. Like we do most of the stuff you see is from our in-home studio, which is
Of
my bedroom.
course.
My bedroom that we put some sheets up in.
Nice.
um
But for
so
tax
that, and
but for tax purposes, it's an office.
right, it's an office.
Yeah.
It's an office, and I pay for the internet bills to run my business.
Yes,
Um,
yes, yes, yes.
so that, and also like doing digital drag,
Mm,
which like kind of fell off, I feel like, after the like first year of the pandemic, as things started reopening and people started going back to performing live.
mm-hmm.
But digital drag has been so like fantastically accessible for like so many other people,
Yeah.
and like being able to see a show no matter where in the world it is
Yeah.
has been like great. And it's also been really fun like getting to make like pseudo music videos without me actually making
Yes.
any of my own songs.
Yes.
um so like, yeah, going back to doing more of that, it's really fun, even though it's often not incredibly like lucrative. Like, it's we are two-person producing and editing an entire music video, and
Yes.
some
But then
shows
you
don't
gotta
even
make a
pay.
music video. And like that's the stuff of like I'm just thinking about me as a kid like watching music videos and like we're
Hmm.
actually getting to do it, which like yes,
Right.
money would be great, but if you get to spend time in your life doing stuff like that, like I couldn't see a better use of your
Yeah,
time.
exactly. Like the videos are so much fun. Like, I always
Yes.
wanted to make a music video, so like it's really fun to just, I can do it with other folks' songs for now. I mean, we also shot a music video for my band, which was fun, for Missouri
Love.
Surf Club. We did we did a gay cover of Charlie XCX's Boys. We did Girls, and released it for like
Yes.
Pride, and we shot just like a fun little music video with some gay lesbian vibes.
Gay lesbian vibes. Best vibes ever.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love
I
that
got off
for
track
you.
again, but
No,
yeah,
you didn't.
what I'm looking forward to this year is just like doing more of my
Yeah.
art. Like, we are building up our tools, and like it just gets better every time. So just expanding the shop, doing more fashion, doing more like
Yes.
conceptual photo shoots. I'm going to aim to get published in some more magazines, and doing
Yes.
some more music videos.
I love that so much for you. I think that after I know that like, there's like the Nat ministry and people like do less, do less. And I'm so for people wanting to do less, but after like I was already like very depressed and like homebody pre-pandemic, and then I was like almost ready to come out, and then pandemic hit, and I have not fully found a rhythm in which like I feel good about doing stuff. So like I kind of
Mhm.
want to be doing more now, you know what I mean? And I feel like
Definitely.
I'm feeling that energy from you as well, just kind of like I'm ready to be doing stuff because we had so much time where I don't know. I know that there are people uh, that did a lot of awesome stuff during the pandemic. I am not one of those people. I was depressed as fuck and home all the time. But yeah, that's awesome. I'm loving the energy of just like excitement and creation and celebration and like clear, I don't know, love for yourself and for those that you're making stuff with. You
Yeah,
know?
I'm like really passionate about passionate about I'm really passionate about like what I'm doing now, and like that feels really good to like finally be sort of settling down into something, because I always feel like I don't really have like a lot of practical skills. Like, I didn't finish college.
Mm,
All I've done is like retail jobs. I'm just
I feel that.
like drag is the most established thing. I used to do like actual like I used to work with the circus and make balloon animals at events, but like
Yes.
as I
That's
started
awesome.
losing like mobility in my hands, I feel less confident about that. And like the
Mm-mm.
sensory aspect of balloons, it sucks. It's really
I
bad.
have a low key fear of balloons. I just I they I.
I don't like the way they feel on the hands, and they're
Mm,
like very loud and squeaky, which is
yeah,
like fine at an event with loud music, but then I don't like practicing them at home.
yeah, but also
But
them
yeah,
popping is not nice. I don't
Yeah,
like.
no.
I don't like.
I'm pretty good at not popping them, thankfully.
Good,
But when the weather's
good.
bad, they pop more.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's wild.
But yeah, like, and I also feel like the ADHD is just like sometimes I really, really, really like go time. I want to do all the projects, and then I will just fall into a slump and not do anything. And so I also do really struggle with like I'm doing too much. I need to stop and do less. And then when I'm resting and doing less, I'm like I need to go now. But I'm
Yeah.
just coming out of that like winter cold, doing nothing. So it is really go time.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me. I hope that was okay. I knew you were excited about it, and sometimes I also just like want to make sure I'm giving enough space for people to be, talking about what they want to be talking about. I feel like people get excited to do this because it's like a lot of us just aren't listened to, like not in long format about like our lives. You know what I mean? I think,
Right? Like
yeah.
I can't tell you the last time I had like an hour long conversation with another like queer trans person of color. Maybe like never. Definitely not in like these years. And
Yeah,
like yeah,
feel
I don't get
that.
to talk about this stuff to like outsiders a lot, just like my partner who knows already.
They're like, I'm so sick of hearing your stories. Please go on this podcast, talk to somebody else.
We just tell each other
Please.
the same stories over and over again. We're just like two like ADHD. We just like over and over.
That's the feel. You have that urge and need to like word vomit it out. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I'll listen to them tell the same thing over and over. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful.
It's great. Yeah, it's been great. Like, this was definitely a really nice conversation to have. It was a really fun space.
Yay.
And yeah.
Thank you. Just wanted to take a hot second and echo the sentiments Keiko had about really not getting to spend that much time in my life either, speaking to trans, POC, disabled people. That's why I truly, truly love doing this podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope I get to do many, many more. Catch you at the next one, everyone. See you later.